Well, Kyle?
Yes, Garrett.
I think it's the nature of how we make these videos. We love taking our time, digesting, stewing in everything that we played. But sometimes that means you spend a little too much time focusing on Meg. Or in this case, an entire stream was up the ladder, and you think to yourself, it wasn't the worst thing I ever played, but why are people so hyped about this? Oh, and there's time travel now.
And you go, there's no way you can pull this off. And they did.
They haven't even finished it yet. I don't even feel like we need to wait and see because I'm already happy with how they're doing it. Like it's already good. I'm already stoked with the revelations. We got the answers we've received. And for the first time in a long time, I don't personally really have questions about mysteries. Now I'm just curious about how it all, like, just events. What happens next? What's the next big event? Where are we going when we go to the Tempest? What actually transpires there? There's not really a mystery. Now I'm just curious to see where the plot takes us next.
My mystery is I don't know what box to put things in. Yeah, like we have more nuggets, and I'm not sure which part of the lore they belong to.
But before we get into the meat...
The meat is low res and weird, but the buns are good.
Do you like the channel? Do you like these videos? Do you like what we're cooking up for you? You want more of it? You want to make sure you never miss a video or a stream? Because we stream right here. We still get the question. Folks are like, what's your Twitch? We're like, we don't have one. We stream right here on YouTube. This is it. So subscribe to the channel and maybe ring that notification bell. I'm told it's something you should do. You know this dance. I don't like doing this dance. Do you like doing this dance?
Likes as good as I can't say this. Light's as good as a subscribe. Press the like button if you've already subscribed. Right there, done. Back to the video. I like the Emmett speech. I like the one-on-one we got. Because he's often performing to the room. He's got, we all act a little differently in front of others.
Are you saying that we're his friend and he's putting on his cool... He still leads with the one-liner about manual labor.
He's certainly still performing. We definitely feel that when we see a flashback later on. Like, there's a big difference between, like, Asian Emmett and Bestie Emmett. But I really, really like this breakdown. It added to my expectation, my growing excitement for going up the ladder, which crashed down upon seeing the environment, and because there was going to be a little bit of a road bump. But there are parts of this that I really, really like. I love listening to bad guys talk about how they like to play Crusader Kings or civilizations.
Do you know the most reliable way to deal with those who stubbornly refuse to see reason?
We're gonna go to the Asian city, right? Now that it has a name, Emmett has named it in his nostalgia, thinking about the good old rejoined days.
And then there was Amaron. Never was a city more magnificent. From the humblest streets to the highest spires, she fairly gleamed.
Amaron, like it's
we better
named.
Go there.
We're gonna. It doesn't technically exist right now. Don't answer that. But like, it doesn't exist, right? Because we haven't rejoined. It's been fractured and splintered and cast to the reflections. That seems like a heavy word to just drop into conversation. Oh, yes, my good old home. He might as well have just looked at the camera.
He did for the next line where he says,
not that you would remember any of this.
Which, this is where I don't know what to put in the box. Is he like, because you're a split being, therefore you don't remember it? Or we are light Asians, we are more powerful and more gathered and maybe even like full born of source.
He has a line shortly after that talking about like cheer up, if I'm successful you will be on my level, you will be whole. So this whole kind of conversation is him kind of selling us on his past, which he would like to be everyone's future.
There's also trust issues here because the cues to your warrior of light with an opportunity to say, remember?
I went with the sassy option for the record.
You did go with the sassy option, it's true. But Previously, in our ability to answer things that might gleam future takes, we said, is that the past? And that was just red herring, completely just like made up. It was never the past in the first place.
It technically was. It was someone's future past.
It was the past, which may actually like be the past still if the time was different on the first at the time of the future, because there was actually Thancred was here for 10 years. Like, there's a way. Yes. Yeah. Don't think about that part too much. And we had another wonderful moment with Ardbert, but those are just happening all the time now. Like, that's no surprise. Like, Ardbert has become a cool dude. We both worked each other up. We're both feeling like heroes again.
So then we go up the ladder. And we quest with some dwarves to get Talos materials.
The dwarves are great. The dwarves are really fun. The lolly hoes and all that. It was a fun little story. I like the duty. They did doing a little duty alongside the Exarch. That was fun. Getting to pal around with him. It led to the emotional moment of talking with him one-on-one because he was all exhausted. He brought his drones out, which I thought was going to be a really big deal.
Just like the duty, I thought it was going to be a very big deal.
You know, Emmett is of Aleg, so I thought there was going to be some big twist where Exarch brings forth a bunch of Crystarium tech that Emmett takes control of for his big evil moment. But ultimately, they just kind of get owned by all the Sin Eaters in the area. And we get to see one big one that becomes the boss.
The big one that becomes the boss was in Vothri's chambers.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people have some headcanon that this is the Canary been transformed, but they were already in Vothri's chamber.
It comes from the Triple Triad card, doesn't it?
They sing things. But you can have multiple singers in a town, you know? There's multiple musicians on Spotify.
Yeah, plus, like, timing-wise, like, didn't we, like, leave talking to the Canary and then see Vothri? Like, it's not that much time has passed. Would there even be time?
He would have done it very quickly if he had.
Yeah.
And still, you know, the fact that she was petting the lion kind of suggested she's been there for a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one.
It's a well-beloved game. There's going to be a lot of game theories in that way. And one of them is the shoe bill business. Like, I've gotten multiple messages from people talking about how Emmett's pretending to be a shoe bill. Like, it is weird that suddenly in all the little, like, trials and the 3D mind runners and using your, not stethoscope, what's it called? A spyglass, you suddenly see shoe bills. Sometimes I confuse doctor and navigational tools, but
Master and Commander would be a very different movie.
Where did this develop? Why would Emmett be pretending to be a shoe bill? Is it because the shoe bills were like kind of angry looking? So
shoe bills are just terrifying looking birds.
They
in
are.
Real life.
They're huge. They're awesome.
Just in real life, they're terrifying looking. I can't believe you got me to talk about that. I think this is the dumbest. Shoe bill is like the dumbest thing ever.
That's where you draw the line.
I don't. Forget. It's like. They're so good about spelling things out and giving you answers that I'm just like, la la lolly ho, do not care about unproven fan theories. Like, that's not why I'm here.
The chai powering up was fun. That was really cute to see an MMO attempt that kind of Persona 5e RPG business.
It was a dating game.
Yeah. Yeah, and he did, I'm still just shocked he made something so incredibly badass. Like, all the other Taloses around are just kind of lame, and this one was rocking.
I would have liked more. It was such, the reveal's great, but I think it would have been cool if we, like, got hints that it was going to be so grandiose at the end. Like, I would have loved to have seen, like, a hand being built or something. It's just like give me the mecha building garage where you're starting to put the pieces together.
I honestly thought it was just going to be a hand. It's a lot of wasted effort, particularly the chin and the crown. Like, it's very kind of Evangelion-y in its design, and it looks awesome. But form and function, like, Mr. Chai wasted a lot of time and material making this thing look good. An arm coming up out of the ground would have done the job.
Mr. Chai is an artist, and he's not going to make something that purely exists for function.
I respect that.
We needed to fill him with the passion to work in the first place, so it makes sense that the fruits of his labor look passionate.
And the Runar nod was really cute. We're still in the main expansion, so any, like, nods they do back to themselves, we're in-house. And I find that impressive. Like, any trolley jokes that continue to build, such as Jerkle getting excited about the mega trolley that would be possible. Like all that stuff is really, really cute and very real because it happened inside the team. So Runar bringing back in the Hearthstones and allowing those to power the device because that's what the Knights Blessed would have wanted. That's great. Like that's all fantastic interweaving. I think we're starting to discover something. So much of Final Fantasy's big lore and perhaps outrageous lore works because it's always attacked from an emotional angle. Like it's not presented, Exarch, time traveler, done. No, like we always come at it from a real place of emotion. And it means we have a reason to relate to it. We have a reason to relate to Oriange when he's frustrated with the knowledge he's receiving.
This whole scene just had something bad is about to happen to the Exarch written all over it. Also, it gave away the goose for me on who the hell's point of view we had in that one weird echo that I couldn't figure out.
You caught on to this a lot faster than I did. This repeating...
It starts with the first-person view of the Exarch. Why would you do that?
I didn't get it. It does pose a bit of a, location problem. Like, we told the Exarch... Not off, but we excused the Exarch from worrying about us there in our in-room. And he, sat in range in the hallway for a while. Like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I have, a 10-minute dream and I slept 6 hours, so... I kind of feel like Exarch, stalked outside of our room for a while.
That's just your memory. I know exactly what happened. This is confirmed. The Exarch came back in to tuck us in and give us a little kiss on the forehead.
Oh, just a little kiss. Yeah, it's a wonderful scene. It goes in that cubby of campfire scenes, any of the, Normandy pre-ending ship stuff, Firefly. It's a great... before the moment, and it builds that false end you're about to do with the trial dungeon combo.
That moment for me was that they give us a choice of what to say to our friends before we do the Mount Gulg dungeon, and that to me felt like I've done the suicide mission in Mass Effect 2. I know what this means, but someone did. Well, they didn't die, but no one died. But someone did get shot, and we haven't seen them since. So
there's a great amount of suspense and a wonderful low point on the other side of all of this. And Exarch does build up to that. And he's doing this I'm so dead kind of thing. There's somebody out there.
He asks us about our future plans. What we're planning to do. And then we get to ask him of his. Or more bluntly, if you're Kyle, be rude and just say, "Who are you?"
I think it's important to know who you are.
It's hilarious now in retrospect because we find out exactly who he is not that much further down the line.
No, and he's still being coy about it here. I mean, he's got his whole... There's a trope that exists when a good guy pretends to be bad in order to make his friends think he's bad to soften the blow.
Oh, well, you're jumping ahead. I just want to talk about his little discussion here.
I know, but now that we know what it was building up to, why he was kind of acting bummed, because he knew he was about to enact his big sad plan.
He was also very physically distraught, physically drained because he's away.
Yeah.
We learn here, he spells it out. Hey, listen, I'm an extension of the Crystal Tower now. So being away from it sucks. And the further I am, the more it sucks. But to me, the highlight of this whole thing is just having this human moment with Graha here. Aha, I was right about Graha. What was this? I'm very proud of Aha. I was right about Graha.
Well done.
I just like this human moment here that we're having with him, because it's been there's been under the ocean rumbles of folks in our chat when we stream making jokes about how the Exarch has a crush on the Warrior of Light. This is 100% canon confirmed at the end of this conversation that Graha Tia is crushing on us and crushing on us hard, because. Either way, regardless of what option you go with, he eventually starts essentially talking about how this dude's got wanderlust. He's got wanderlust big time. He's been on the first for a while now, and he when we get the chance to ask him about what he wants, what his plans are for the future, it's all he talks about is There's someone I want to go hang out with, and I hope they bring me on their adventures. And he weaves it through all these explanations of how he just wants to set off. And I think it's distinctly at odds with his behavior at the end of the trial.
Sure, he's a bad actor.
Sort of.
Just
yes.
He couldn't pull it off.
Because he talks about wanting to leave and explore during that moment, but doesn't mention about wanting to do it with us. He's just like, I'm out. Aha.
To be fair, he didn't have to convince us because we were all messed up on the ground. We weren't going anywhere, and we certainly weren't probably going to say anything. So his performance was probably for our fellow Scions and to convince them not to stop him. Whereas he could have this kind of private, I'm going to do something, wink conversation with us. And there's a high chance we wouldn't be able to do anything about it.
He wanted to go with us. So why is he all excited to go alone?
Well, he was going to explode. That's the problem, is he was going to explode.
Well, let's get to what we both definitely 100% were certain was going to be the end of 5.0. Spoiler alert, it wasn't.
I don't think it's wrong of us to believe this. It's very exciting. Like, I'm really happy there's going to be more in the core game.
It's the first time I feel like I went into a Final Fantasy XIV expansion having an understanding of how they break things up from the end of a .0 to the, 0.123 patches.
And they use that knowledge against you.
Maybe we've kind of built, made our own bed here. Here being our channel of documenting every step through our first time ever playthrough of the MSQ, and also working in probably wrong theories.
We take it like you would a TV show. We get a chunk and then we wait a week, and the game says you should rest, and we go, okay, just leave for 2 weeks. The Talos rises up and grips the mountain. And the Pixies did show up. They showed up. They battled. They helped out.
They did.
So we were right about that part.
Last minute, too, because I wasn't sure about that one. Because much earlier, while we're building the Talos, we call everyone to aid. And the Pixies are just nowhere to be found.
Maybe we'll get a little clarification, because Oriange was like, oh, well, I can't reveal what I'm planning. Probably because he didn't know if the Pixies would actually show up, so he didn't want to promise something that wasn't in the bag. He's still sitting on his aura side, by the way. So
promise, over deliver.
I thought that was going to be a big thing here, because I'm still just staring in his robe pockets being like, oh no, all this light, and Orion's just can't do anything about it. I don't have any storage devices. What do you want? And I'm like, help somebody.
At the moment, we are heading to an Ascian's house.
Yes.
So,
I'm so excited for that.
What the hell is he going to use the aura sight on? He's like, throw it at Vothri, he's going to eat it.
So the Talos, in its pointlessly badassness, grips the mountain, and we scale it and fight our way up Mount Golg.
Dude, this dungeon. Oh my God. I loved it. It was so good. And you called it, dude, during the stream. You're like, oh, are we going to fight up its arm? And yeah, kind of. We start it that way anyway. We start on the Talos, work our way up onto actual Mount Golg. And it's such a beautiful fake out, because I'm like, it's a dungeon. We've got loading walls. It better visually progress. And you get through that first load wall, and you come out, it's just more rock. And you're like, come on. Oh, wait, was that white marble just manifesting into existence? This dungeon's wonderful. I have no notes.
It's static. It's false in that way. Like, it's not in motion like Diablo Reaper of Souls or one of these big kind of God of War sets you might have, but there is enough hand-crushing Sin Eater in the background to make it feel like you're actively climbing something that is struggling to maintain its hold.
I think they did a pretty good job considering what I think to be the limitations of the engine. Like, this looks really good.
And the fights are great. Like, it's all Sin Eaters all the time, which is fantastic, because that's the sandwich I wanted with Homemaster Switch towards this moment. We get to fight Forgiven Cruelty, the lion. Finally, we know its name. Why? I don't know.
Why was it cruel? Probably because it ate people in Neilmore.
Well, it was the one that was summoned, it seems, by Emmett to interweave its magics with baby Vothri.
Yeah, for a hot second, I was like, oh, that's Vothri's dad. But no, you clearly see in the flashback the lion and Vothri's dad in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, I thought like the dad became the lion, and there was going to be a kind of like
yeah, because also the lion is
there.
a symbol for like royalty, and Vothri's dad was essentially king of Yulmore. But no, none of that links up. It's just a sin eater.
Wicked common model for a king. Oh my God, poor guy got the character select randomization.
Oh yeah.
I was expecting something a little more imposing in Vothri's backflash.
I mean, R involved is nothing but basic options, and he looks cooler than Vothri's dad.
We'll get back to that Vothri moment. I want to keep talking about these bosses. I think Forgiven Whimsy is amazing. Like the Rubik's Cube, follow the faces to dodge the explosions business.
I'm very sorry, but you loved the one you died to.
Yeah, just because I completely froze and didn't understand where I was supposed to go, and after 3 explosions that I barely survived and also died in front of a crowd of people, the last one I just went, and died.
I think you might have the achievement for most reses by Jesse Cox in a dungeon.
That doesn't decrease my enjoyment. As you well know, I am a lover of strategy and tower defense. I love to lose. I wish you all had died with me. I'm sorry to say that. I wish you all had failed so we could have started over again to, replace my shame. But I think it's a fabulous boss design.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm so good.
You were so good. And also, I think in like Melee there, you were able to see kind of a little overlap zone. I could not see it. I couldn't see any safety. And every time I've stood somewhere that was safe, I exploded. But I don't quite understand the marble stuff. It's manifested will. It's Vothri's desire for a kingly and perfect palace that is somehow through enough mule or hybridization he is projecting in the area. Because it's real. Like there's steps and stuff. Like we're not walking through any of it. It extends past the point of where the cliffside is. So it's not an illusion on top of the already existing mountain. But I don't know why he's able to manifest this zone.
I mean, there's like those light kind of sharp halo things that are going around the whole mountain itself. So, and they never really explain why the mountain starts flying in the first place.
Until you get the triple triad card for Mount Gulk and can play it.
Wait, is that true or are you making a joke?
No, I'm making that up. I don't know that. I don't.
Gullible. I am Gulgable. I'm
Googleable. Yeah. I don't think there's a triple triad mountain card, but I could be wrong.
No one seems to be asking that question. There's probably someone we could have clicked on that we didn't click on that explained it.
I have to assume that this is just what bosses do, right? Because this is outside the boss arena, I'm thinking about it more deeply. But Thordan summoned us into space. I don't think we actually went to space. Tsukiyomi summoned all her illusions, and we ended up in like a flower field of trees. Suzaku, we went to like flamey scroll space. Like I think just bosses, primals, and in this case, a Sin Eater, are able to manifest things when they're powerful enough in Final Fantasy.
And this is a more powerful Sin Eater. It was like born a Sin Eater against his will, all by the design of an Ascian.
It was by design?
There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of baggage with all of this.
Yeah, and then he was powering himself, eating more and more too. So this likely just the projection was able to grow and he willed himself a base of safety. And Mount Gulg became that castle in the sky, which he pictured in his own mind.
It looks so good. I love all the freaking statues that appear.
Oh, it's wonderful. And it plays great into what his name is in the trial you get to, Innocence. He fully believes that he is the righteous person to help everybody and deliver everyone from the troubles of this world.
Well, he literally was born for it.
And he's never been corrected. Like, there's no reason for him to think anything else. Like, it's sad to put him down because he could have been a great leader. His desire to save people is not wrong. It was just corrupted.
Yeah, and in a much simpler terms, he's literally a brat. I mean, he's just told he was special his whole life, and you're left with Vothri.
If your paradise can be rebuilt so long as you alone survive, it exists not for the people. It exists solely for your twisted pleasure.
The crown of the Immaculate trial. You face Vothri. I really want to run this on Extreme real bad.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah, it's a good trial. It's a good trial. This is the most extreme version of the "oh no, he's hot" meme.
The light surges within me. I see. This is the passion of my attention. Very well. I shall embrace this trial.
This is an extreme thirst.
Like, you could have spoiled this for me and I would have just called you a bold-faced liar.
It goes unique places, right? Like, you can call this a Beauty and the Beast moment, with the laser eyes and the fingertips and all that. But no, like, it's born out of his back.
I don't think Final Fantasy XIV gets enough credit for how good of a game it is. Everyone talks about how good of a story it is, and to a slightly more game effect, how good of an MMO it is with stuff like, you know, player housing and everything. But this is just A+, awesome boss stuff. Like, this is such a great reveal. It's such a good monster design. It's such a good twist when you burn Vothri down and freaking swords spring out of his back, splitting down his spine meat, and out comes the most handsome Squidward angel thing you've ever laid eyes upon.
Wait, what happened with the baby? Because he was a baby, and he was wrapped up like that by his mom. So baby nipple didn't... I guess it really... He was a baby at some point. So he stayed a baby, and he had an extra baby? It was 2 babies? You know, that's not important. What's important is the splitting of the back, him giving birth to his fabulous self, and being turned inside out like one of those zipper plush toys. His voice stayed the same, which was kind of funny, but it
really bothered me that I didn't like that his voice stayed the same.
I am all powerful.
It's such a hammy, over-the-top, 4Kids animation dub voice.
I mean, the echo crank, you could barely understand him when you were heading up the stairs there.
Unrepentant villains. Will you not be satisfied until you have brought disaster down upon your own heads?
So we fight Innocence, who is not forgiven, and we see a vision of Vothri's past.
We just finally get to see him in his damn Ascian robe. That's not just a Gaius speech.
Don't show his face, though, which...
Oh, I'm not about that.
Because Emmett's still piloting a clone, right? That's not what he actually looks like. He's still, like, Thancred.
Right.
You know, he's La Habrea Thancred. He's riding around inside of a soulless body.
You're blowing my mind right now.
So real Emmett looks like something else. And I hope it's monstrous. That wouldn't line up with our other Ascians. We haven't seen one without their masks off, but there is Ascian Prime, who looks monstrous.
Well, we've also seen them in Ascian robes while possessing other bodies, because Thancred was possessed but wearing an Ascian robe.
Yeah, that is an interesting one. We didn't see the act of possession, but he also wore normal clothes for a bit. So La Habrea had himself built Ascian robes on the source so he could wear them as Thancred.
But they can project the mask thing. Maybe they can project robes.
Maybe, but also shout out to Pothy, who dressed up as Ascian Arnvald for me. You can get Ascian robes in the game if you really want to.
I didn't really know what to take away from this, other than it just felt like filling in a big gap in the backstory of Vothri before Vothri is no more.
Sure, it's a little more twisted than he gave him the power, which was our guess. Way back in the day at the start of our Final Fantasy Shadowbringers videos, we were talking about, oh, Emmett's there in the room with Vothri. Maybe he gave him his power and up-jumped him. Like, that plan was well before Vothri was even sentient.
Yeah, I think we were still thinking about, like, maybe you can ascend to become a Light Warden, and so it didn't quite plan out exactly like we were thinking, but in the ballpark, I'll give us the win on this one.
But give me the word, sir, and I will bring hither a Light Warden.
Which means it's cannibalism he's doing when he's eating the mule, but, you know, he's a bad guy anyway.
I'm glad he's dead.
And Dad's, wringing his hands. Dad's not a good guy. He's got the Sin Eater there by him. Does this line up in the timeline, though? If Emmett visited the first and time was desunk, how long ago did he up-jump Vothri? Our voice actor here is not acting like acting-loving Solus. He is talking way more flat.
By all means, sir. United under Yulmor's banner, men will cease fighting and abandon their ambitions.
So I was just kind of curious if there's any sort of time jump or even worse we're witnessing there.
Oh, you're reading into him as a character and if he became a drama-loving weirdo just as in his time as the ruling emperor of Garlemald.
Exactly. He's not walking in the hey, everybody. Well, I've got this great plan.
He also had better posture in the flashback.
He did. Well, that suggests he's not riding the body as well because the body's old.
But the body that he's riding is young. They're young clones. Does Solace just have scoliosis?
Well, it's so, and like, are the bodies like predisposed to its previous age? Or what I figure is he spent so much time in an old body, he now kind of hunches like that even when he's in newer bodies. But when he shows up as Ascian here, he's not
cute.
hunched.
Oh,
so
that's cute. I like that.
Yeah, so it kind of like muscle memory. So he kind of like that's where I have a little bit of like, what time is it and how old is Vothri?
So anyway, defeat Vothri, get his past, and Crystal Exarch shows up to lie to us.
Yep, his big evil plan. Ooh, I'm so evil, shucks, you guys. Like he's a terrible actor.
I want you to hate me. She does. I'm sure he'll explain when we save him from Emmett. Because if he was going to be dead, why not just leave the corpse?
He's too darn cute. He's too darn cute.
We have one too many light cupcakes, and we're going to blow.
Oh, yeah. I'm sad Emmett's so disappointed in us, but I love the gun. It's so clear. It's so clear.
There's enough astral, otherworldly, magical bonanza taking place in this cutscene. We do not need Emmett Selk to show up and throw a purple Kamehameha at the Exarch. Also, it ties him back to his time in Garlemald. His own grandson shot him, so he's gonna shoot Grahatia.
Exactly. I thought
it's great.
It was great. Yes. I honestly, I was a little confused by the memes about this. Like, this is a hilarious moment to many. I can't think of a better way to do it. If he performed any sort of magic bolt or of any kind, if he did anything that even was remotely magical, I'd be reading into it. But a gun just says, I want you to stop. And that's all that needed.
I would have been fine with magic. You wouldn't have been. I know you would have been reading it. I would have just been like, dude, it's just magic. Just let it go, Kyle. Just let it go.
Like,
Doesn't mean
what
anything.
was that? Did he eat his soul or something?
It would have been purple Vothri all over again. Why is it purple? Kyle, there's so much purple. You don't even. It's just how they represent shadow. Like, it's fine. Just
this mind control wave. Don't worry about it too much.
Let it go, Indiana. More importantly, it was right. It was Grahatia. All of you tried to throw me off the Senate. It didn't work. It's Grahatia. Although I will say that the game kept it such a damn secret for so long when it seemed so horribly obvious to me that I did, towards the end here, started to question. I'm like, is it Grahatia? I feel like they would have given up on this by now and revealed that it's Grahatia.
What a nerd. He's great. Oh my God. When we were like meeting him right outside the Crystarium for the first time, we're like, aren't you Grahatia? He's like, no, I don't know who that is. His heart is like, because he's such a super fan. Like, he spent his entire lifetime, time and space, watching his friends die of old age, trying to find us. He finally finds us. He's got to just be the biggest geek in the room.
100%. Yeah, he's a fanboy. He lives every day as Comic-Con with an autograph session with his favorite actor from Supernatural. When he's hanging out with the Warrior of Light. That's what's going on with Grahatia. It's a beautiful reveal. The hood getting blown back, spare no expense on this animation. They fanfare was justified. I love this moment. I love that they waste no time getting to the consequences of all of the light that we have been imbued with. Yeah, so I'm down with Emmett's gun as well. I just like the tie-in. Like he seems to have a sense of identity in terms of, like, he's picked up Garlean affectations. It's like if you spent too long in New York or Texas, you would start picking up those local draws. But this whole thing, it was wonderful. Also, I was too busy in the moment enjoying it because it's a wonderful cutscene. It is a wonderful, wonderful cutscene. But in the back of my mind, I wanted to dunk on you. I've never wanted to dunk on you harder than hey, Kyle, how are you feeling about maybe Emmett will just be our friend after all this? Like, I was just like, yes, he's finally being openly evil. Because there's never been a more insane thing that's left your mouth for me than what, like, I think a couple videos ago. And you're like, maybe Emmett just turns. He just says a face turn because we're so cool. And I'm like, he's not going to face turn.
Well, we're not cool. See, I think
happen.
it still holds up. We weren't cool enough. We suck. And that's why we couldn't contain the light. And that's why we're not friends anymore.
I genuinely had an interest in you, genuinely considered taking you on as allies. Provided he could contain and control the light.
That is fair.
The game wrote me into a corner. I was willing to be cool enough. I could have handled all that light. But the game said, no, you can't. And he ran off with our friend.
Okay. All right. Fair. It's A+ villainy. This is exactly what I wanted from Emmett. He's just drinking the scene. And now he's off to go torture his new Grahatia toy.
I was pulling up the footage, seeing if I could find the old Minfilia Sideburns torture chamber, but it seems like we have like an underwater city we're going to.
You are
like
obsessed. You are obsessed. Like you are hell-bent on proving that the Ascians have a designated torture location.
Be very efficient. They seem efficient, in the void. They have certain rooms, certain jobs.
They seem ramshackle. They sometimes just meet in dungeons because they feel like it. They got nothing. They have no rhyme or reason. They don't even agree with each other. They all think La Habrea is an asshat.
You've absolutely got a point. They are all Starscream, and there is no Megatron to bring them together. They are all equally vying to be Zodiarc's A#1 and do the big summoning.
It's the infighting of all the houses in Game of Thrones, but it's just one house. It's like just the Lannisters can't get along, are going to backstab the crap out of each other. And dude, this is the Empire Strikes Back, like 100%. I to me, I know there's more, and I'm sure it's great, and I am looking forward to it. But I'm already sold. I now feel like I know enough about Shadowbringers to understand why it's so beloved.
They give you a great moment to log out here. Like, I felt this low point.
I didn't want to continue. We kept going a little bit, and we will talk about like getting pep talks from our friends and stuff later. But they land such a great sad landing. It feels like we profoundly failed. Returning the light to the sky of every zone, hitting the reset button on everything. I love it. It is wonderful writing. It's devastating. It's extremely, you really do feel like you as the player and your friends have failed. Like, I spent this entire expansion bringing night back to this world, and in a moment, everything's been undone, and my friend has been shot and is now being tortured under the sea.
When it all becomes too much to bear, seek me out at my abode in the dark depths of the Tempest. There, you may complete your descent into madness with some dignity, far from prying eyes.
I love the when you're ready appear on my doorstep. We'll talk about that next time.
Till then, I bid you farewell. Eat.